Good evening, stargazers. This is Joe Grida from the Astronomical Society of South Australia, and here to present the sky this month for May 2021. So let's draw the curtains on our May sky and see what's coming up. Right, as we've seen, autumn is well and truly here. It's nice and cold outside, and summer constellations are just about completely gone. Still see a little bit of Canis Major and Sirius very low in the western sky, along with Procyon and Canis Minor. But most of the summer constellations are now gone. Even the autumn ones are starting to disappear quite early in the evening. So let's just zoom in a little bit on our sky, on our night sky. So here we go. Here's Sirius and Procyon. As this time, unlike every other time, instead of heading south from west, we'll head towards the north. So here we got Cancer, the crab, and Leo, the lion, are getting lower and lower in the western sky, but still nicely placed for viewing early in the evening. So if you're planning an observing session and you're looking at Leo, objects in Leo, or even Hydra, and near the head of Hydra, make sure you do it early in the night. Virgo is getting nice and high up in the sky now, so galaxy season is definitely here, guys. Get those telescopes out, get those eyepieces all cleaned up, get the finger marks off of the eye lenses, and start looking for some galaxies. Boots, the herdsman, over in the northeast, becoming quite prominent, with Arcturus, definitely the brightest star in the sky in that area. Really can't miss it. A third brightest star in the sky after Canopus and Sirius. And if you can see from a dark enough sky and low in the sky, you can see the little curving line of stars that form the northern crown, or corona borealis. Actually, tonight for our deep sky views, we'll be spending some time around here. As we head around the northeastern horizon towards the east, definitely our winter constellations are starting to appear quite nicely. We've got Libra, the scales, Scorpius the Scorpion, very, very easy to see. One of the easiest constellations to recognize in the sky. It really does look like a scorpion. Antares, nice bright orange star, and of course later on in May, it's in this area here on May the 26th that the full moon will be, the full eclipsed moon, I should say. We'll talk about that in a little while as well. And rising ever higher in the sky is Sagittarius, and this little asterism here we call the teapot. You can see here's the body of the teapot. There's the spout, there's the handle, and the bright glow of the Milky Way that you can see when you move away from the city lights, and you see the bulge of the Milky Way here, which is the center of the Milky Way. I always tell people it's a steam coming out of the teapot. Glorious sight in a dark sky, this area, absolutely beautiful. And it's great to roam around with binoculars, especially when you see star clusters like M6 and M7, which resolve beautifully in a pair of binos. As you look higher up in the sky and head towards high in the southern sky, of course you've got the Southern Cross there, and Alpha and Beta Centauri, the two pointers, are always pointing towards the Southern Cross. Centaurus, of course, the half man, half horse. There's the back of the horse there. There's his hind legs, there's his front legs, and his neck coming up over here. And at 5139, the biggest and brightest globular cluster in the whole sky. We'll be talking about globular clusters in a little while. We won't be talking about this one, but two others. As we move our view from high in the south to a little bit lower in the sky, you'll be able to see the large and small Magellanic Clouds, external galaxies to our own Milky Way galaxy. We've talked about these two guys before in another Sky for the Month edition. And of course, 47 Tuc, the second brightest globular cluster in the whole sky. Again, we've spoken about that. Over in the southwest, Canopus is getting a little bit lower. Only second in brightness in the night sky of the stars to Sirius over here. So I think that'll do for our little star walk around the May night sky. Do get out there, enjoy it. I always think of May and autumn as the best time to go out observing. The weather patterns seem to be a bit more stable than winter or spring or even summer. And if there's been a little bit of rain and it's washed the dust out of the air, cold front has passed, everything's stabilized, the seeing gets nice and steady. So you get some really nice views, and hey, what a great time to get out there and look at some galaxies, especially in this area near Virgo, Leo, Coma Berenices, and in Corvus, and around Hydra here. All of this area here is just full of galaxies. So go and explore them. My galaxy catalogue for Virgo alone lists over 2,000 galaxies that are visible to my 16-inch telescope. So there's a lifetime of exploration just there. All right, now the moon. Moon is going to feature a fair bit this month. Right now we're heading towards a new moon about this time next week. The waning moon is getting smaller and smaller in our evening sky. So within a couple of days, you'll be able to start getting out there under a dark sky in the evening and start doing some observing. As I say here, dark sky between the 5th and the 15th of May. So this area here, the moon then starts to become a waxing crescent again. From around about the 16th onwards, and then you'll be reduced to looking at the moon and double stars, and of course on the 26th, when the next full moon comes, the moon will actually be traveling through Earth's shadow, and we'll all be enjoying a lunar eclipse. More on that very, very shortly. Okay, for our feature of the month on the moon, I've chosen Sinus Medii, or the Central Bay region of the moon. See why it's called the Central Bay region? It's right there, almost central to the face of the moon that we see. Here's a close up of that area here. Sinus Medii is this flat area here. This bay area, as they call it. Probably the most prominent features that you would see in this area is the crater Tresnecker and the associated rima or rills that are visible on the surface. These are probably the easiest of all the lunar rills to see. And probably caused by volcanic uplift from below that bulge and fractured all of this area. Now, these rills from here to here is about 200 kilometers, so it gives you an idea of the scale of the image that we're looking at. The The crater here in the middle, Tresnica, is quite deep, 2,760 meters deep and 26 kilometers in diameter. It does have a central peak, but you can't see it in this image by Robert Reeves. And the crater was named after an Austrian mathematician and astronomer. Some of the other features in this image, the color of the text here is not quite so easy to see. I should have picked that up earlier. Is the crater Bode, named after German astronomer Johann Bode. A little bit smaller than Tresnica, 18.6 kilometers in diameter, but even deeper at 3,480 meters. So that's 3.5 kilometers almost. So that's quite a deep crater. Chladni, just over here, named after a German physicist who demonstrated back in the late 1700s that meteorites actually come from outer space and are not Earth-made. Again, this is quite deep at over 2.5 kilometers and 13 kilometers in diameter. There's a couple of other craters, Pallas here and Murchison over here. You can see that when the volcanism that created this lava here and created the rills over here, some of that lava disintegrated some of the walls of these craters. So obviously these craters already existed when all this volcanic activity occurred, unlike Bode, Chladni, Tresnica, and some of these other smaller craters here, which would have occurred afterwards. And just out of interest in this field, just over here, the two Surveyor spacecraft, Surveyor 4 and Surveyor 6. Surveyor 4 crashed on the surface, and Surveyor 6 landed in this area in 1967. The Surveyors were the precursor to the Apollo landings, and they were the whole mission. There were 7 Surveyors sent, and the whole mission purely was to demonstrate the ability to do a soft landing on the lunar surface. And I think it was Apollo 12. Yes, Pete Conrad actually visited Surveyor 3 in 1969 when the lunar lander soft landed very close to Surveyor 3, and the astronaut actually went to visit. And there's a list of where the surveyors landed. As we said, Surveyor 6 landed, unlike Surveyor 4, which crashed very, very close nearby to it. As with all these views that I'll give you of the moon, the big close-ups, and really, if you want to be able to see some of these features, like these disintegrated walls of Murchison and Pallas, or the rills here, the cracks on the lunar surface, that's Hyginus rill over here, actually. Really seen best if you do try and use as much magnification as your scope and the viewing conditions will allow. You need to get up into the 150 times or more in order to get close up, so that you can see some of these features. And make sure that you do it roughly when the area that you want to look at is only just inside the illuminated face of the moon. The lunar terminator is close by, so you get lots of shadows, lots of contrast, and you can certainly see a lot of detail. Right, I mentioned before the lunar eclipse on the 26th of May. We mentioned Scorpius the scorpion. There he is. There's the scorpion. There's a tail of the scorpion. There's the body, and Antares is just over here. There's the head of the scorpion just here, and the fully eclipsed moon just below the head of Scorpius. The eclipse starts at 6:17, not all that much after the moon has risen, and maximum eclipse is at 8:48, so perfect. It's been arranged perfectly for evening observation for us in South Australia. However, this won't be the big or very dark red moon that we've experienced at other times. And this is why this part of the sphere here, or the circle, is the umbra, the darkest part of Earth's shadow. And you can see that the full moon just barely makes it inside the shadow. So this northern part of the moon here will appear quite a bit brighter than the southern side, where it's going to be quite a deep red. But hey, it's perfect viewing time. So get out there with your telescopes, with your binoculars. If you haven't got any of those, just your naked eye, and enjoy it. But also, the Astronomical Society will be live streaming the lunar eclipse for you between 7 and 9 p.m. Adelaide time. And we have telescopes scattered over a wide area to make sure that we get as much coverage as we possibly can. So if there is one area that's cloudy, hopefully someone else will actually be able to pick it up for you. There'll be expert panel answering your questions. There'll be all sorts of activities. You'll be asked to go out there and look at it and then come back and report what you've seen. And there's some nice raffle as well that you can buy tickets for. There's a 25 by 100 millimeter pair of binoculars. I'd love to win those. And a 8-inch go-to Dobsonian telescope as well. So they're fantastic prizes. But certainly do tune in on our YouTube channel to watch, or on Facebook to watch this program. Should be really good. All right, so what are the planets doing in May 2021? You see the Earth over here. Mercury and Venus are now starting to appear in our evening sky. Mars is still in Gemini in our evening sky for a tiny bit longer. Over in the outer solar system, you can see Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in a line. So place the Earth over here, you'll be able to see that all three of these are fairly close together in the sky for us, and rising higher and higher in the evening, in the early morning. Very soon, we'll start to see Jupiter and Saturn rising soon after midnight. Neptune and Uranus are still too close to the Sun for observation from our viewpoint. Another interesting event coming up this month is the Eta Aquarius meteor shower, which you can see if you're brave enough to go out, say around about 3 a.m., look towards the east, towards Aquarius, and you'll be able to see Jupiter higher up in the sky. So about halfway between Jupiter and your eastern horizon will be the point where the Eta Aquarius seem to radiate from. And that's just an optical illusion. The Earth is moving around in its orbit and encountering the remains of Comet Halley. So this is material, the debris that's been left over by Comet Halley during its returns to Earth every 76 years or so. There will be a 23-day-old crescent moon there, but it'll be a fairly thin moon, 23 days old, so it shouldn't interfere too much. There's a little bit more about the Eta Aquarius here. They're active from about mid-April through to towards the end of May, but the peak is around this time of the year, 5th, 6th of May or so, and you can expect around about 30 shooting stars or meteors per hour during that peak. They're traveling very fast, around 230,000 kilometers per hour. So when they hit the atmosphere, they hit it at such a speed, there's so much friction, they burn up, and sometimes they'll leave a glowing train of material behind them for a few seconds. Here's a long exposure photograph of an acquired meteor shower from several years ago. Of course, you're not going to see them like that. This is an exposure over perhaps a few minutes to 10 minutes or so. So if you're observing with your naked eye, you'll only see one of these at a time. Although I must say, when back in the early 2000s, when we saw the Leonids in November, it was literally hundreds of these per second. It was the most amazing sight I've ever seen. But if the sky is clear around about the 5th and the 6th, do get out there. That's only a couple of days away, Wednesday morning and Thursday morning this week. So do get out there and see if you can catch a few Eta Aquarius, the remains of Comet Halley. Now, on the 16th of May, the Moon and Mars will be quite close together, only 2.4 degrees apart in Gemini, right between the two twins. So it shouldn't be a nice view, especially in binoculars. You'll be able to fit the crescent moon and Mars in the same view in your binoculars. So that should be quite a pleasant view. There is another planetary alignment towards the end of May on the 29th, when Venus and Mercury come within half a degree of each other. But it happens very, very soon after sunset and very low in the sky. So if you just happen to be sitting on a jetty at the beach and looking west, and you've got nothing else to do, take a pair of binoculars with you and see if you can pick them up. But I didn't think it was worth really spending too much time on it, because they're just going to be so low in the sky, and the sky is so bright, it's going to be hard to find them. Multiple star of the month. This month, I've got two colourful doubles for you in Boots, the herdsman. You remember when we looked at the Your Sky chart, Boots can be found low in the northeastern sky during this time of the year. And there are two really nice doubles there, Epsilon and Xi Boots. My double star catalogue lists around about 50 doubles just within Boots. So on those nights when the moon is a bit too bright, spend some time looking for some double stars. It's a nice, easy pastime that you can do. The separation between in these two stars is varied. Epsilon Boots, the separation is only 2.8 arc seconds, so they're going to be harder to split. I certainly would recommend a magnification of at least 200 times. The stars are relatively bright, 2.5 and 4.9 magnitude. So you're not going to need a huge telescope to be able to do this, but you do need to use some magnification. Even a 4-6 inch telescope theoretically has enough resolving power for you to be able to split them, but you need to employ a little bit of magnification. And if you do, and you get to see them, you'll be rewarded with a yellow, orange, and blue pair of stars like the inset here. The other one, Xi Boots, is a yellow and red, over twice the separation of the two stars in Epsilon, so much easier for you to split those. I always say only employ the magnification that you require to separate the two stars clearly. So you can see a bit of black sky between the two stars. Don't separate them too much, otherwise the beautiful contrast between the colours of the two stars is lost. So have a look at those. And as I mentioned, the book that I refer to for my double stars is Sissy Haas' book, Double Stars for Small Telescopes, published by Sky and Telescope magazine. It has a huge 2,100 double stars that you can have a look at. Obviously, the book covers the entire sky, so you will have to filter them. Anything above plus 30 degrees declination is probably a bit too far north to get a good look at them. But anything other than that, you'll have plenty to keep you busy on those moonlit nights. So where do you find these two stars? Here you're looking towards the northeast, around about 9:30 in the middle of May. You see Boots hanging upside down there. There's Arcturus, and the two stars. Well, let's remove the constellation figures now, and the two stars that we're talking about. There's Epsilon Boots just there, and Xi Boots can be found just over here. Relatively easy to locate. Both of them are within easy reach of your finder scope. If you're using just a manual telescope, if you're using a go-to telescope, then obviously it'll be a heck of a lot easier for you to find them. But just do a bit of star hopping from Arcturus to Xi Boots, or over to Epsilon, or its proper name is over here. They're both are quite easy to have a look at. And if you've got a clear enough horizon, get the binos out and have a look at Corona Borealis over here. Beautiful little curving line of stars. I thought for the deep sky tonight, we'd have a look at a couple of distant globular clusters. And the idea for these two came to me when I was preparing the previous slide with the locations of Epsilon and Xi Boots, because there's M3, and this one up here is M53 in Coma Berenices. So I thought I could use the same slide for locating them. These are quite distant globular clusters. As you know, as we've talked in the past, globular clusters are a big aggregation of stars in a globe, in a ball. They're all gravitationally bound, and some of them are quite loose, as you can see here. I've used M4 as an example, and M3 and M53 here again are quite different. Biggest thing with these is their distance from Earth. M4 in Scorpius, very close to Antares, is one of our closest ones, just over 7,000 light years away, whereas M3 and M53 are much further. 33,000 for M3 and over 58,000 light years away for M53. And whilst that may seem far away, it's still not as far as some others that we'll see in a second. All these globular clusters are arranged in a halo around our Milky Way galaxy, and I came across a little utility the other day that showed it really well. We'll get to that in a second. Here's the map. There's M53 and there's M3 and M53 over here. So on the night that you're looking at ISAR and Xi Boots over here, make sure you train your telescope on M3 and M53 as well. So as I was saying, I came across this little app that plotted all of the globular clusters in relation to the plane of our galaxy. So here's a sun just here. That's the plane of the galaxy, and you can see that M53, M3, and M53 are quite high above the galaxy, quite a distance. Now there are other globulars that are even further away than those, and here's a list of the top 10 that I could find, or 11 or 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The top 10 furthest globular clusters from us. And as you can see, that AM1 in Horologium is over 400,000 light years away. Probably some of the easiest ones to see, like NGC 2419 in Lynx, although getting very far in the northern sky, so very difficult to see. I actually saw that whilst observing from the edge of the Simpson Desert at Todmorden Station about 5, 6 years ago now, through my telescope, when Lynx obviously was a little bit higher up in the sky than what it is from Adelaide. The other one that's a lot easier to see is NGC 7006 in Delphinus. Nice winter constellation of the Dolphin, and you can find 7006 fairly easily in Delphinus, magnitude 10.6. So small, it's quite concentrated, so not too difficult to find even from the suburbs. And as always, many of the sky maps that you see during this presentation are all prepared with the Stellarium planetarium software. Latest version 0.21 has only just been released in the last couple of weeks, and as you can see there, it will run almost on any platform. There is even a web version if you wish to use that. So I encourage you to download it. It's free, and you can play with it to your heart's content. And you can see where the Southern Cross will be in 6,000 years' time. Will the Southern Cross still look the same in 6,000 years' time as it does now? Perhaps that might be a good activity for us for next month. So thank you for watching. As always, if you have a question, please feel free to email me, Joe Grida, at technical@assa.org.au, and get your latest information about Astronomical Society activities at assa.org.au, our website, or, as I said earlier, subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch many of our programs. We record many of our meetings and other programs that you can watch, and you can also find us on Facebook for the latest activities. So thank you, stargazers. Thank you for watching this, and I implore you to go out there and actually get some starlight into your eyeballs. Enjoy your month. Thank you.